Late at night, dim light peeked through the windows of a small apartment. Inside sat Arionne Curry, phone in hand, laptop open in front of her. Hundreds of comments on the screen, some filled with hatred, some with surprise, and a few with sympathy. This was the woman whose name had Arionne looked at herself in the phone camera light, dark circles under her eyes. The effects of time on her face, but the same sparkle in her eyes. The same stubbornness. "I'm not finished," she said softly. "I was just quiet." Once taken the reality TV world by storm, the name Love and Marriage Huntsville had changed her life, but now that same name had become her biggest punishment. The next moment, he pressed the go live button. Suddenly, dozens, then hundreds of viewers appeared on the screen. Some shouted abuse, some asked questions, and some just watched the spectacle. Arionne smiled and said, "You all heard my story, but you never heard my truth. Now it's time for you to hear the truth." This was the beginning of her comeback. She didn't just want to reclaim her fame, she wanted to reclaim her narrative. A few years ago, Arionne was just an ordinary girl who wanted to make a name for herself. But when her name was linked to Martell Holt, everything changed. People called her the other woman, a drama queen, and the OWN network closed the doors on her story. But even in that silence, she prepared herself. She memorized every news, every comment, and every post because she knew one day it would all become weapons for her. Arionne began her comeback on social media. Videos, live sessions, open statements about her old relationships. Every word a new explosion. News blogs began to pick up on her statements. Arionne Curry breaks silence. Exclusive. The untold truth about Martell and OWN. It was unexpected for Oprah's network. OWN immediately called internal meetings. "We can't let this be the center of attention again," an executive said. But Arionne wasn't going to stop. Arionne turned her live shows into a show unfiltered. My Truth. The show wasn't officially owned, but viewers began to think she was making a comeback with a major media house. She would speak boldly, laugh out loud, and repeatedly say, "I'm not at anyone's mercy. Now I'm going to write my own story." Fans were divided. Some said she's brave. Some said she's playing victim again. But the viewership was growing every day. In the first week, her followers surpassed 200K. Old videos started going viral. And then came the moment CNN Entertainment mentioned her. Once silenced, Arionne Curry returns with a vengeance. That was the day Oprah's team heard the alarm bells ringing. Tensions rose in the OWN boardroom. The head of the PR team said, "We didn't use her name, but she's been pulling us over and over again. If we don't do something, she'll tie her story to our brand and we'll be the ones to lose." Oprah quietly listened to everyone, then said, "Sometimes silence gives power to noise. It's time to respond." OWN sent a legal notice, but Arionne read the notice and waved it live. "Is this Oprah's justice?" She said, "When I was silent, no one listened to my truth. Now that I've spoken, they've come to scare me." The video took in 2.3 million views, and she slipped out of OWN's control. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Arionne's name started to resonate everywhere. Hashtag Team ARIONE became a trend. Some called her a modern-day survivor, others an attention seeker. But everyone started talking, and that's what Arionne wanted. OWN tried to control the PR, but the social media storm swept everything away. Some of Oprah's old fans also began to raise questions. Does OWN really give everyone an equal opportunity? It was dangerous for Oprah's image. She told her team, "We have to tell the truth, but calmly, with dignity. This noise will not define us. We will replace it with narrative control." One day, Arionne posted a video that shook everything up. "I'm bringing my documentary Silenced, the Arionne Curry story. It will have everything what was said, what was hidden, and what was true." At the end of the video, she said, "I'm not afraid of Oprah. I'm not hiding behind anyone. Because this time, my story, my justice will be served." Oprah took a deep breath. This woman doesn't want silence. She wants war. "Ma'am, this is not just a social media phase," the PR head said. "If we don't do something now, she'll make us out to be villains. Oprah looked up and said, then we'll respond like leaders, not villains. But the game will be played on our terms, not hers. OWN Network assembled its strongest team of lawyers. Legal notices, copyright complaints, and defamation reports were filed. Arionne's new documentary, Silenced, hadn't even been released yet, but OWN alerted every platform. Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, all were legally warned that the material was tied to OWN property and potentially contained confidential content. But Arionne had it all planned out. She knew OWN would try to block her film. So she decided to release her documentary on her own YouTube channel. The world was shaken as soon as the video was uploaded. 7 million views in the first hour, 10 million in the first day. The video began with one sentence. I am the woman who was silenced because I knew the truths that powerful people fear. CNN, TMZ, Entertainment Tonight, and the Daily Mail. Arionne Curry was mentioned on every platform. Oprah's team initially remained silent, but they soon realized that this silence was sending the wrong message. OWN aired a special interview in which Oprah said bluntly, I don't believe in suppressing women's voices. This statement was like pouring oil on a fire. Arionne immediately replied, if telling the truth is a lie, then who is the truth for? For the powerful. Or for the one who has lost everything. But when someone calls a lie the truth, we have the right to defend ourselves. Social media split into two. On one side, hashtag Stand with Oprah started trending. On the other, hashtag Justice for Arion, NE. Reaction videos on YouTube, debates on talk shows, and even reality show hosts started discussing the feud. Oprah's image had been a symbol of dignity, dedication, and nobility for years. But Arionne's outburst also shook her fan base. Some said Oprah is crushing an ordinary woman to save her empire. Others said Arionne just wants attention, not the truth. Both narratives began to gain traction. This wasn't just a fight between two women, it had become a battle of power versus voice. Oprah and her team decided that the days of silence were over. OWN launched a new special, Truth Behind the Noise, in this show. They presented each of Arionne's accusations with evidence, from meeting clips to contracts to witness statements. But Arionne reacted immediately. She went live and said, this is not a show. This is propaganda. They are afraid that if people believe what I say, their empire will collapse. Arionne's voice was shaking during the live, but her eyes held the same determination. People felt it. This woman is not broken, even when she is broken. Arionne's life was now completely owned by the media. Friends drifted away, family grew weary. Even Martell Holt began to withdraw from the fight. This war will not end. Arionne, he said, people like Oprah never lose. Arionne replied softly, I didn't set out to win. I just wanted to expose the truth. Meanwhile, a former OWN employee told the media that some of Arionne's claims may be true. The world stopped when this statement came out. Oprah's team was shaken. Was Arionne really completely wrong? Oprah said only one sentence to her team that night, but the weight of the truth began to weigh heavily on her life. Sleepless nights, constant fear, and online hate spiraling out of control. Still, she wasn't ready to stop. If she wants truth, she will have it. But truth cuts both ways. This sentence became the headline of every news story the next day. OWN issued a new press release. They filed a defamation lawsuit against Arionne, the $10 million lawsuit which shook social media. Arionne then went live and said, I'm not afraid of anyone's money. My conscience is with me. And when conscience speaks, even the courts are silent. This was the moment Arionne Curry became not just a woman, but a symbol, speaks out against the powerful, stands up for the truth. OWN, one of the world's largest media houses, and a single woman facing it, Arionne Curry. This was no ordinary case. This was the ultimate clash of power and truth. This was the headline on news channels across America. OWN versus Arionne, truth or defamation. Cameras, reporters, and hundreds of people gathered outside the courthouse. Some held banners saying hashtag justice for Arione. Some held posters saying hashtag respect Oprah. This case became not just about two people, but about two ideologies, those who protect power versus those who fight power. There was silence in the court. The judge looked at the two lawyers and said, "This case is not just about the law, it is a battle for the realm of truth. But truth is not always measured by documents, but also by intention." Owen's lawyer argued Arionne damaged our client's reputation by making false accusations. Her documentary caused financial and moral damage to the company. "We will prove with evidence that this was all organized propaganda." Arionne's lawyer said, "My lord, this woman is not lying. She is simply trying to tell her story, a story that has been suppressed for years." The moment came in court when Arionne took the witness stand herself. Her hands were shaking, but her voice was strong. "I didn't fight Oprah," she said. "I just started fighting for my truth. If that truth hurts them, so maybe they need to look at their system, not silence me." The courtroom fell silent. Oprah herself was there, face dignified, but eyes deep. Was there, face dignified, but eyes deep. She glanced down at Arionne for just a moment as if she had understood something, or perhaps remembered something. The OWN team presented hundreds of pages of evidence, emails, contracts, and PR reports. But Arionne had what they didn't: public confidence. After each hearing, her supporters chanted outside the courthouse, "Let her speak." Truth has no owner. Trends began to resurface on social media, and Oprah's team began to realize that even winning this case wouldn't be a victory anymore because public opinion was already divided. OWN's ratings began to decline. Some sponsors withdrew their contributions, and the media raised the question, is OWN afraid of independent voices? Oprah, who had always been a symbol of justice, independence, and truth, now had to explain herself on her own platform. Oprah told her team, "I've always been a woman's advocate, but maybe we misunderstood one woman's cry." This sentence was spoken in an internal OWN meeting, but someone recorded it and leaked it. The statement spread like wildfire on social media. After weeks of hearings, the day finally arrived. The courtroom was packed. The judge opened the file for the verdict and said, in the court's view, OWN acted to protect its brand, but Arionne Curry cannot be deprived of her right to tell her story. Therefore, the court rules that neither party shall impose a financial penalty on the other. However, OWN Network is directed to jointly produce a special project with Arionne Curry titled Truth and Media Ethics to teach the world how power and truth can coexist. This decision was not a complete victory for anyone, but it was not a complete defeat for anyone either. Arionne Curry walked out of the courtroom in silence. Reporters were shouting, "Arionne, how do you feel? You think you won?" She simply said, "I didn't win, I was set free. And that's my biggest victory." Oprah later said in an interview, Arionne held up a mirror to us with her truth. Maybe it's time we put humanity back into the media. OWN launched a new show a few months later, The Price of Truth, in which various women told their stories. And the first episode featured a guest, Arionne Curry, as the camera zoomed in on her. She smiled and said, "Sometimes the doors that are closed are the ones that let the light in." Arionne embarked on a new journey away from the media. She now runs a program for young girls called Voice and Vision, where she teaches them self-confidence, self-control, and the power of speaking their truth. Oprah said at an event, Arionne reminded us that every woman's story is worth hearing. And when we try to suppress a voice, we actually lose our own power. The two came onto the same stage. Oprah held her hand. Arionne had tears in her eyes. "Okay?" Oprah said, "No enemies, just lessons." And the entire hall erupted in applause. This story is not just about one woman and one institution. This is the story of the price of truth. Arionne sacrificed her life's peace, dignity, and time. But in return, she gained what few people ever achieve: the right to her own voice. And Oprah understood that the true meaning of power is not to silence others, but to give others the courage to speak their truth. The world has changed, but this case will always be remembered that when power and truth come face to face, victory always belongs to the one who stands by the truth. If you liked this story, like it, share it, and tell us in the comments, do you think Arionne Curry was right? Or was Oprah Winfrey's position correct? Incorrect.